No other desert is as gigantic as the Sahara. The wasteland, located in Africa, is occupied by endless dune formations, covering an impressive area of 9 million square kilometers. In theory, a country like Germany would fit into the vast sandy landscapes of the Sahara around 26 times. That's a very large plot of land. What seems to us today as an inconceivably desolate area that's home to very few animals showed a completely different face just a few thousand years ago. We don't know too much about what the Sahara would have looked like all those years ago, but today we'll be taking a closer look at several key discoveries that have painted a clear image of how the sandy terrain was once a luscious and prosperous piece of land. Before we get into it, be sure to hit that like button and ring the notification bell for more videos. Also, stick around for number 2. You almost won't believe one of these incredible discoveries. The prosperous past of the Sahara. When we think of the Sahara today, we immediately think of images of seemingly endless sandy landscapes, characterized by the scorching heat. A look at the equally countless and majestic desert dunes leads us to suspect that the Sahara has always been as dry and deserted as it is today. However, if we turn back the wheel of time by just 6,000 years, we would find a blooming green savanna paradise instead of a dry wasteland. In the somewhat recent past, the Sahara served as a home for countless settlers whose grazing animals could help themselves to the lush vegetation of the regions as they pleased. Countless lakes, regular rainfall, and even a gigantic river were part of the normal landscape of the Sahara at that time. The corresponding watering hole known as the Tamanrasset was a torrent at that time. Together with its numerous tributaries, meandered more than 500 kilometers across the African continent. If the riverbed, which has since dried up, was still carrying water today, it would easily be entered on the list of one of the longest bodies of water on the planet. As a result, many early settlers also settled on the banks of the Tamanrasset. The drying up of the once mighty river is said to have triggered a gigantic migration of peoples. Mega Chad, a prehistoric lake in Central Africa, was once one of the most important water resources on the continent. During its heyday, the lake stretched over an incredible 1.95 million square kilometers, making it around 5 times larger than the Caspian Sea. No modern lake could have rivaled these gigantic dimensions. The drastic change in the landscape of the Sahara took only the blink of an eye in the context of the entire history of the Earth. But what factors ultimately contributed to the fact that what was once a blooming oasis became one of the driest regions on our planet? Concerning this question, the experts are pursuing a number of different approaches. How did the dry desert come about? What's certain is that the drying up of the Sahara took place within a few centuries or decades. The people who were previously at home in the area were therefore forced to flee from the comfort of their homeland and withdraw to the south or into the fertile Nile Valley. If you follow the claims of some experts, it was not the natural change in the climate, but the indirect influence of the people of that time which transformed the Sahara into a huge desert landscape. According to this theory, livestock played a central factor in everyday life at the time. The cows, sheep, and goats that were kept there are said to have massively accelerated the desertification that would soon begin. Since the livestock grazed or trampled the local vegetation, the ground below finally reflected significantly more sunlight than before. This fact could have in turn caused the atmosphere to warm up over the years, so that the amount of precipitation also steadily decreased. The subsequent drought is said to have ushered in the beginning of the end of the previously green savanna. On the other hand, however, there's a thesis that the cultivation of arable land could even have significantly extended the glory days of the green Sahara. According to this idea, the change from the blooming savanna landscape to a dry desert can simply be traced back to natural climate changes. This is because the Sahara actually went through these types of changes a few times before the final desertification that we all know today. Conversely, it's also possible that today's dry land will be covered once again by green grasses, shrubs, and trees in a few thousand years, maybe even sooner. Wadi al-Hitan. How much the natural face of the Sahara has changed over the millennia becomes clear to us when we take a look at the Wadi al-Hitan. This dry valley in the northern parts of Egypt extends over an area of almost 1,800 square kilometers and is home to one of the most exciting paleontological treasures in history. In fact, the researchers found countless fossils of prehistoric whale species in what is now practically nothing but dust-dry soil. About 40 million years ago, the area was covered by the Tethys Ocean. This vast, gigantic sea eventually disappeared when India and Africa collided with Eurasia. Before that, however, the Tethys Ocean had served as a permanent home for a wide variety of underwater inhabitants. So far, the researchers have succeeded in recovering 250 of these venerable specimens from the Valley of the Whales. More specifically, it contained the fossilized remains of the legendary Dorudon and Basilosaurus. The Basilosaurus, also known as the king lizard, died out around 35 million years ago, if modern scientific techniques are to be believed. The shape of the imposing body, around 18 meters long, was reminiscent of a terrifying giant snake. In all likelihood, the extinct whale species regularly hunted prehistoric fish and smaller marine mammals, but also the Dorudon knows how to fascinate us with his unique shape. In fact, it was a direct relative of the king lizard. However, with a length of no more than 5 meters, these early whales were significantly smaller than their upcoming contemporaries. The fossils found in the Egyptian Sahara are of exceptional importance in the ranks of researchers because they can be used to observe the ancestry of whales from land animals. According to this, the remains of hind legs can still be seen on the remains of the ancient whales, while the streamlined shape of the body was already perfectly aligned with life in the water. Clayton rings. While the experts were able to draw important conclusions about the development of ancient creatures with the help of the fossils discovered, the discovery of the Clayton rings still poses great puzzles for experts today. These mysterious, wide, open ceramic rings were first discovered in 1932 by British desert explorer Patrick Clayton. Just 5 years later, the German researcher Rudolf Cooper succeeded in uncovering comparable structures in the Egyptian Eastern Sahara. However, most Clayton rings were found between 1995 and 2000. So far, the archaeologists have come across more than 40 different sites that housed a total of 150 examples of these mystical ceramic objects. To this day, scientific minds argue about the purpose of these recovered artifacts and why they were made. What's certain is that the Clayton rings originated in the pre-dynastic period of ancient Egypt. Although most of the objects were found individually, some experts believe that they once formed contiguous structures. If this is true, there's a chance that if all the artifacts were eventually found, it may paint a much different and clearer history of the area. Since the corresponding archaeological sites didn't house any cultural material, it can be concluded that the respective sites only served as short-term storage areas. However, it's completely unclear what role the Clayton rings played during these desert trips. As it stands right now, the Clayton rings remain a mystery. There have been countless theories shared over the years. However, without further evidence being unearthed, it's possible that we may never know what they would have originally been used for. Water under the desert. A few years ago, a team of experts made a sensational discovery under the hot desert sand of the Sahara. What seems almost unimaginable in view of the endless dune landscapes could be proven beyond doubt with the help of modern satellite measurements. As it would soon turn out, below the Sahara, there's an abundance of groundwater that's regularly replenished. According to researchers, 1.4 cubic kilometers of new water flows into the underground water system every year. If this continues, it's possible that over the course of many years, rivers may begin to flow through the region once more. Previously, scientists had argued that the accumulations of groundwater in the Sahara were fossil fuels that have practically not received any new inflow in thousands of years. However, we now know that this is not true. The massive water system extends over a considerable area of more than 1 million square kilometers in the north of the Sahara. In detail, there are estimated to be around 1,300 cubic kilometers of cool water there. This natural water deposit enables, among other things, the existence of flowering oases in the middle of the sandy desert. However, the corresponding groundwater resources have been tapped since the 1960s. Since more water is withdrawn every year than can be formed, many of the natural sources threaten to dry up in the near future. Unfortunately, this means that unless locals can find an alternative source of water, it's unlikely that the Sahara will be able to replenish itself in any meaningful way. Furthermore, the locals who currently use this as water source will eventually be forced to move when the water dries up. The Eye of the Sahara. How did the Eye of the Sahara come about? This enigmatic geological structure that's located in Mauritania has posed many questions for experts over the course of countless decades. The crater-like rings have an impressive diameter of up to 45 kilometers, while the surrounding walls only protrude a few meters above the ground. At first, the researchers suspected that the Eye of the Sahara, which is also known as the Richat structure, was created as a result of a meteorite impact. However, the fact that no impact rocks were found at the alleged collision point speaks against this thesis. Other theories are based on the assumption that the Eye of the Sahara was formed due to volcanic explosions. Added to this is the idea that the enigmatic structure resulted from natural erosion. In fact, the landscape structure is so large that it can even be seen from space. For this reason, the Eye of the Sahara has already served as an important point of reference for some space missions. However, there's an even more bizarre theory that has quite a lot of evidence to back it up. This theory is not new by any means. However, in the recent past, a YouTuber with the channel name Bright Insight proposed a theory that the Eye of the Sahara may have actually been the location of the long-lost city of Atlantis. According to this theory, the Eye of the Sahara fits all of the descriptions that were provided by Plato when he encountered the city thousands of years ago. According to legend, the city eventually flooded and became consumed by water. If this is true, there are likely countless ancient artifacts buried in the sandy terrain. Bright Insight suggests that it's worth exploring and excavating the area to try to better understand what this bizarre structure is. His theory claims that many of the large formations that can still be seen on satellite images of the area show that large deposits of salt exist in the sand. He claims that these salt formations would have built up over the course of hundreds of years due to salt water previously running through the area. He feels so confident that his theory is correct that he even offered a reward of $10,000 to anyone who's able to travel to the area and search for fish bones or other artifacts. His theory also details the writings of Plato and how several large gullies seem to line up perfectly with where Plato described rivers and other bodies of water flowing in and out of the city. Plato also claimed that there would have been bodies of both saltwater and freshwater in the area, which seems to have been true as well. This theory has been debated by many mainstream historical researchers, such as Graham Hancock. However, no one's been able to disprove this theory completely. In all likelihood, the Eye of the Sahara may very well be the resting place of thousands of people who perished in the flood that claimed the lost city of Atlantis, if such a city truly did exist all those years ago. So guys, now it's your turn. Which fact about the Sahara surprised you the most? Do you know any other extraordinary finds that have been found in the desert? We're already looking forward to your comments. Show us with a thumbs up that you enjoyed today's video. Subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell to stay up to date. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you guys in the next video.